The sustainable packaging market is projected to grow steadily through 2030, and rising awareness of plastic waste pressures businesses to rethink how products are made and delivered. To know what this means for manufacturers, we have here Albert Alfonso from Tetra Pak and Associate Professor Go Guan from NUS. Now, starting with Professor Go, what opportunities exist in the manufacturing sector with the rise in sustainable packaging?
Well, I think we can look at manufacturing from two sectors. So one is generally the users of the packaging material itself. This could be the electronics companies, the food and beverage companies, retail companies, electronics, etc., that need to use the packaging, to put their products in when they sell to the consumers. So from their point of view, having sustainable packaging could help in their branding. It could help in their ESG and sort of initiatives and consumer outreach. Possibly it can help with compliance to government regulations as well. There's also another group, which is the companies that are providing the packaging materials itself. So for the companies that provide the packaging materials, if they catch this trend early, because this is a developing trend, then as the use of sustainable packaging grows, they would have potentially more business opportunities when more companies require these materials. Of course, at this point in time, the cost of the materials may be higher when it comes to sustainable packaging compared to the conventional packaging materials itself. But companies that start early may have a better opportunity to be able to ride on this wave of the use of sustainable packaging materials.
The shift towards sustainable packaging presents manufacturers with an opportunity to future-proof their operations while contributing to a broader climate agenda. As regulations tighten across Southeast Asia and consumers demand more transparency, companies that invest in renewable, recyclable, and responsibly sourced packaging stand to gain competitive advantage. Sustainability also opens the door for operational organic optimization, from reducing energy, water, use to automating processes that minimize waste. Manufacturers can realize long-term cost savings while strengthening supply chain resilience. In fact, energy efficient technologies can reduce operational energy costs by up to 30% in the food and beverage plants, according to Siemens. Beyond compliance, this transition is about building smarter, more efficient, and adaptable production systems.
And just like with any other opportunity, there will also be challenges. So, with that, what challenges do manufacturers face in adopting sustainable packaging?
Sure. Currently, there are a couple of challenges. One is cost. The other one is on the marketing aspect. So when you look at cost of sustainable packaging, right now, generally it is more costly because the new materials itself may not be ready. It may cost more to create or to manufacture. The economies of scale for manufacturing the new materials may not be there yet. Therefore, the current conventional methods will generally be more cost effective from a cost purely from a cost point of view. Of course, if you look at it from a more holistic point of view, for example, with cost of recycling, cost of disposal, cost of regulatory compliance, or perhaps even that the new sustainable packaging materials may be lighter and therefore easier to transport, reducing weight and reduction in logistics cost. On the total cost basis, it can help to reduce the cost. But from a sourcing point of view, the cost tends to be higher. So this is one challenge that companies will face when they use that. The other challenge, of course, is that traditionally, when we look at the marketing aspect of packaging, we want our packaging to be glossy. We want the packaging to look bigger. And this obviously may not be so sustainable because we may have to use colors, different, more glossy materials, bigger packaging in order to entice the customer, right? And then when we change to more sustainable packaging, if you think paper bags, for example, like brown paper bags, then that may not look as enticing. So on the marketing aspect, it can also initially be a challenge in terms of the consumer education.
Good point. One of the key challenges in the initial capital outlay with any new development launch, scaling production volumes and reaching the desired level of pricing comparable to fossil-based counterparts in this case in the packaging industry, is one of the biggest challenge that we face. Whether it's upgrading equipment, handling new materials, redesigning packaging formats for recyclability, there's also the complexity of navigating evolving regulatory landscapes, which differ across markets. For many businesses, especially small, medium enterprises, this can feel like a moving target. That said, the transition doesn't have to compromise efficiency. In fact, by integrating automation and energy efficient systems, manufacturers can offset upfront costs and gains in productivity and resource savings. Water reuse technologies, for example, can reduce usage by up to 30%, and automation has been shown to increase productivity by 25%. In sectors like dairy and beverages, the key is adopting a life cycle approach by assessing sustainability not as a cost, but as a strategic investment in the long term value.
And as part of Tetra Pak, Albert, what innovations are you currently investing in to stay competitive in the market?
At Tetra Pak, we continue to invest in renewable and low carbon materials that's both scalable and traceable. A prime example is our 90% renewable aseptic carton, which replaces the aluminum layer with paper based barrier and incorporates plant based polymers. This new development allows us to increase the paper content to as much as 80%, increasing the renewable content to around 90% of a TBA 200 slim leaf, for example, with the U-shaped paper straw, which we launched in Portugal in 2023. It also achieved a 33% reduction in carbon emissions, verified by independent third-party life cycle assessments. We're also expanding our use of plant-based caps and straws made from Bonsucro certified sugarcane and increasing the integration of FSC certified paperboard and recycled polymers into our packaging portfolio. An additional key innovation includes our industry first paper-based cap is currently being commercially tested with a Spanish customer as we speak. This pilot solution brings the overall paper content of the package to 73% of total weight. Combined with the plant-based polymers in the coating and neck of the opening, it raises the total renewable content to as much as 87%. It's a powerful example on how innovation can empower consumers to make more sustainable choices without sacrificing functionality and convenience. Beyond materials, we're innovating processing and automation while supporting food and beverage manufacturers in adopting technologies that enhance efficiency, minimizes waste, and improve environmental performance across the board.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights, Albert and Professor Go.
Much welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Once again, those were Albert Delfonso, Packaging Portfolio Director for Malaysia, Singapore, Philippines, and Indonesia at Tetra Pak, and Associate Professor Gopoy Guan from Business Analytics and Operations at National University of Singapore. For more news, visit manufacturing.asia.